Let me ask you a question. Do you ever feel that weird itch to check your phone, even when you know there's nothing new to see? That itch has a name, and almost everyone gets it wrong. In the 1990s, a brain scientist named Wolfram Schultz did an experiment that almost everyone today gets wrong. He worked with monkeys. He gave them a small treat, a sip of juice, and he had tiny sensors watching the part of the brain that releases dopamine, the chemical most people think is the pleasure chemical. He was waiting to see dopamine spike at the moment of pleasure, the moment the juice hit the tongue. That is not what happened. The dopamine did not spike when the monkey drank the juice. It spiked a few seconds before, the moment a small light flashed, telling the monkey the juice was on its way. And once the monkey learned the pattern, the spike moved even earlier, further and further away from the actual pleasure. Here's the part nobody tells you. Dopamine is not the chemical that makes you feel good. Dopamine is the chemical that makes you chase. It is the chemical of wanting something, not the chemical of enjoying it. There's a strange thing about people who manage to get their focus back. They report feeling bored more often than everyone else, not less. Follow this carefully. That is the clue to the whole thing. You already know what this feels like. You sit down to work, you promise yourself, okay, just 30 real minutes, no phone. 4 minutes in, your hand moves. Not your mind, your hand. The phone is unlocked before you decided to unlock it. You scroll for a minute, you put it down, a minute later you pick it up again, and you do not even remember choosing to. You try to read. Your eyes slide off the page like the words are slippery. You sit down to watch a film you actually picked. And 10 minutes in, you are scrolling on your phone during a film you wanted to see. And the story you tell yourself is the same story almost everyone is telling themselves right now. My attention is broken. I am cooked. Something is wrong with me. Nothing is wrong with you. You are not weak. You are not broken. Here is what is actually happening. Your brain runs on a reward system that took millions of years to evolve. A system designed for a world where rewards were rare, berries in the bush, a successful hunt, other humans to bond with. Then you put a smartphone in your pocket, a device built, and I mean literally engineered by teams of behavioral scientists, to push that ancient reward system over and over, every minute, all day, for free. Your brain is not failing. It is being targeted by something it was never built to handle. And here's the part that makes this so strange. Brain science already separated two things you have been mixing up your whole life. Decades ago. A scientist named Berridge ran experiments on rats. He blocked their dopamine using medication, basically turning down the chemical of wanting. Then he gave them sugar water. The rats stopped going after the sugar. They stopped pressing levers for it. They stopped chasing it. But when he placed the sugar directly on their tongues, the rats still licked their lips. They still showed every sign of enjoyment. In other words, they still liked the sugar. They just stopped wanting it. Wanting and liking are two different systems in your brain. Dopamine drives the wanting. It does not drive the liking. Read that again, because it explains something you have been feeling for years and probably could not name. You keep opening apps that do not actually make you feel good. You scroll feeds that leave you worse than when you started, and you do it anyway. That is not a flaw in your character. That is wanting without liking. That is your dopamine system doing exactly what dopamine systems do. Chase, even when the chase no longer pays off. So, why does the phone feel so much louder in your head than a book, a walk, a conversation, or the work that actually matters to you? Because of how the rewards are spaced. There is a famous psychologist named B.F. Skinner who figured this out in the 1950s. He found that the most addictive way to give out a reward is not to give it every time. It is not even to give it most of the time. It is to give it randomly. Sometimes you get a hit, Sometimes you do not. And every once in a while, you get a really big one. Scientists call this a variable reward. The simplest example is a slot machine. The reason slot machines are so hard to walk away from is not the size of the jackpot. It is the unpredictability of when it is coming. Now think about your phone. You pull down to refresh. Sometimes there is something interesting. Sometimes there is nothing. Sometimes, rarely, there is a message that lights up your whole day. That is the same pattern as the slot machine. Designers at major social platforms have publicly admitted this was put there on purpose. You are not fighting an app. You are fighting a slot machine that was tested on billions of people until it became almost impossible to put down. There is a second piece. A biologist named Nico Tinbergen had a name for fake signals that are stronger than anything in nature. He called them supernormal stimuli. A simple example. Birds will choose to sit on an oversized fake egg, sometimes one so big they keep sliding off, and ignore their actual eggs, because the bigger fake one triggers their instincts harder. A short-form video is the human version of that fake egg. So is a notification with a bright red badge. They are not normal rewards. They are louder, brighter, and faster than anything real life can produce. Here's where it gets strange, because this next part is where the standard advice falls apart and the actual fix starts to come into view. Here's the part nobody warns you about. Every time you spike your reward system hard, there is a price on the other side. Your brain is constantly trying to keep things balanced, push it up sharply, and it pushes back down to compensate. Some clinicians describe this in plain language as a pleasure-pain balance. The technical version, called the allostatic model, was developed over decades by researchers George Koob and Nora Volkow. The idea is the same. Big up means big down. This is why the come down matters more than the hit. After an hour of scrolling short-form videos, ordinary life feels flatter than it did before you started. Reading feels slow. Conversation feels slow. The work you actually care about feels slow. Not because reality changed, because you just gave your brain something so loud that everything quieter sounds like nothing, and there is a measurable cost. Researchers at the University of Texas asked people to do thinking tasks with their phone in 3 different places: on the desk, in a bag, or in another room. The phone did not have to ring. It did not even have to be visible. Just being in the same room measurably lowered people's working memory and problem-solving ability. And every time you switch from your task to your phone and back, a piece of your attention stays behind on the phone. Researchers call it attention residue. In real-world studies of office workers, the average time before workers returned to the task they were on after an interruption was over 20 minutes. 20 minutes after one glance at a notification. Here is where most popular advice gets it wrong. The fix is not a 30-day dopamine fast. That phrase is not real brain science. You cannot drain dopamine like a tank and refill it. Your brain does not reset on a detox calendar. The fix is not quitting everything. The fix is bringing your baseline back down so that real life starts to feel interesting again. So here's what people who actually rebuild their focus do. Not a fast. Not a retreat. 3 changes you can start tomorrow. 1. The first 30 to 60 minutes of your day, no phone. Not as a willpower test, as a reset. The first input your brain takes in becomes the new normal for the next several hours. If the first thing your brain meets in the morning is a flood of notifications and short videos, every real-world task that follows is going to feel boring by comparison. 2. Find the 2 apps doing the most damage and break the slot machine. Notice the wording, not delete the apps. Break the pattern. Move them off your home screen so opening them takes more taps. Log out after every use, so signing back in costs you 5 seconds of friction. Turn your screen black and white if the pull is still too strong. Remember the last video. You are not fighting this with willpower. You are changing the design. You are turning the slot machine back into a regular vending machine. Predictable, boring, easier to walk away from. 3. One low input block every day. 30 to 60 minutes, a walk with no headphones, a book on paper, one work task with the phone in another room. This is the block where your baseline comes back down. This is also, and nobody warns you about this part, the block where boredom returns. When boredom shows up, do not run from it. That is the whole point. Before we finish, 3 beliefs that are keeping you stuck. These are not opinions. This is what the research actually shows. Myth. Dopamine is the pleasure chemical. More dopamine means more happiness. Reality. Dopamine is the chasing chemical. You can have a brain screaming for more of something you no longer enjoy. That is not a feature. That is a trap. Myth. More stimulation means more motivation. Reality. Your brain runs on contrast. Flood it with loud rewards and quiet, real-life rewards. Stop registering. The most motivated people are not the most stimulated. They are the most calibrated. Myth. The answer is a 30-day detox. Reality. The answer is a small daily reset, every day, forever. Not a fast, not a retreat, a new ongoing relationship with stimulation. And the question I asked at the start, why do the people who get their focus back report feeling bored more often, not less? Because boredom is what a healthy baseline feels like. It is not a sign that something is wrong with your attention. It is the sign that your brain is finally healing, that quiet things can finally land again. The people who rebuild their focus are not the people who never feel bored. They are the people who stopped running from it. You have seen it now, the slot machine in your pocket, the wanting that has nothing to do with liking, the baseline pulled so high that real life feels flat by comparison. Tell me in the comments, what's something you keep doing even though it doesn't feel good? Now here is what almost nobody talks about. The single most powerful lever on your whole dopamine system is not something you have to add to your day. It is something you already do for 7 to 9 hours every single night. And most people are doing it in a way that leaves their reward system already broken before their feet even hit the floor in the morning. The very top performers, the people in the top 1% of their fields, treat this one thing with more care than their training, their diet, or their schedule, because it is the hidden multiplier underneath all 3. Next video. The sleep science that separates high performers from everyone else, the exact thing they do differently, and why most of what you have been told about sleep is the wrong half of the story. If you want your focus back for real, subscribe. I will show you exactly how it works.